Do you have a hypothesis at the moment about, I mean, obviously there's different metabolic pathways depending on the intensity of which you're recruiting, like you say like 40% versus 90% or whatever. Do you have a hunch on the catch-all percentage if you were to implement that into training? Like, would I do maybe 60 to 70 of my 1 rep max percentage repeated, like a repeater style? Or do you think like higher into the intensity range, less
I don't think
volume?
because I don't think I like am kind of basing it on like a 50 to 60% overcoming style load, which kind of equates to like, I would say if the power move that Josh and Billy did was like 45% body weight, it's maybe like 45, 50% body weight. It's definitely not 60% body weight, the average move on a route, you know, and it's going to be different for every athlete, obviously,
Totally.
and their grade. But like, I think in a lot of ways, like, you know, and that's another thing that people are kind of bitched about is like, if we're trying to train like muscular endurance on the climbing wall, it's really hard to train muscular endurance when the skill is involved, because if you do like a climb and you're going to do it more reps in the same time or make them harder, there's so much of a skill component, which is great for climbing. And when we're climbing, that's exactly what we want to do. But if we're actually trying to train and we're not trying to focus on sending, we need to be more targeted with the actual things that we're trying to target. And in this case, like we want to target more muscles to make the muscle adapt to a stress, deplete its oxygen, recover, refill, and do that again. Recover, refill. But if we're using a method that doesn't really stress the muscle all that much, and we're getting pumped still, that's probably not as good of a muscular adaptation as it could be. Does that make sense?
Totally. That makes total sense. It seems like it's just applying a more general principle so that we can target and progressively load it or do whatever, reproduce that over and over, and then figure out how to coordinate it later.
Yeah. And so that like that's what I'm writing in the article now for Climbing Magazine. It's like, you know, the eccentric types of loads or hanging on your fingers is more, there's more efficiency there. And that's built in. And that's amazing. We want to use every bit of efficiency that we can when we're on the climbing wall. Right? But in order to make my muscle be able to tolerate more contraction cycles, in addition to that efficiency, I can't just get more efficient climbing. I have to actually stress the fucking muscle and make the muscle adapt and make the capillaries adapt. But that's separate from my skill, which is my climbing stuff. And so I think we've like tried to smash training and climbing too fucking much together, and it makes the training messy. And then people are just like, well, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to do doubles or triples or up downs and just random shit that like has not only not been validated, but people just make the assumption that it's helping them, which like, I think Steve gives an awesome example, like Steve Bechtel with like, you know, like feeling like shit after your training session. He's like, if you get wasted, you're going to feel like shit, but like, you're not going to get wasted after your like drink after your climbing session to get better.
Totally.